You know what really grinds my gears? All these 6 and 8 week challenges. What's going on, fam? Angus Beef here. Thank you so much for stopping by, click on this video. Really appreciate it. Welcome back to Anti-Diet TV. And in this week's episode, I want to talk about why I've got a bit of a pet hate with all these 6 and 8 week challenges. Now, don't get me wrong. I am all for someone getting help to be able to kickstart their body transformation, because obviously stats show us that if people are trying to do it by themselves and they've got no idea what to do whatsoever and they're just fresh to the game, well then chances are that they're probably just going to low-key dabble in stuff that doesn't serve them or their goals whatsoever, and as a result basically spinning wheels right from the get-go. So this is where someone who's starting out in the game, it's going to be an awesome asset jumping into some sort of challenge to be able to kickstart things and get a good hang around exercise and some basic eating, and be able to get a good kind of, you know, kick in the right direction or a jump start to be able to kick things off. All right. That's probably about it. So in other words, if you're someone that has been in the game for a while and keeps jumping into challenges as like a reset point or whatever, this is the sort of scenario that grinds my gears. Reason being is because you're basically kind of just allowing a bit of a feedback loop and cycle or pattern to be able to repeat itself. AKA scenario, fuck yeah, it's a new 6-week challenge or new 8-week challenge. Let's fucking go. And it's basically the scenario of like a new year, new me, that sort of thing, right? In other words, motivation starts off really high at the start, and obviously you're embracing doing, you know, a shitload of classes and workouts as part of the weekly exercise plan. And then more often than not, a lot of these challenges are built around 1200 calories or less, or for guys, 1800 calories or less. Regardless of whether you're tracking calories or not, it's usually based off of that sort of metric. And then you're eating very sort of like bodybuilding style in terms of, you know, a small array of various foods, and you must stick to that plan. See what I mean? So in other words, you will see some pretty quick results more often than not, and then that way obviously it's a great, you know, as I said, like a jump start to be able to start losing weight and get the process cranking. But then obviously over, you know, a few more weeks, and this is where I guess 6 to 8 weeks is somewhat manageable, because obviously, you know, if you put your mind to it enough, anyone can handle like a bit of a, you know, some restriction and a bit of overhaul and a bit of grinding and stuff like that for a short period of time. Like especially if you got no work trips up and you're basically happy to be a hermit for a little while, you know, happy days. You should be able to get some pretty decent progress. But here's the thing. What happens when the challenge is done? This is the problem, because what happens here is that there's no transition back into normality. There's no concept of teaching you reverse dieting or eating at maintenance for, you know, a couple of weeks at least before going back into a deficit again. Like it's just kind of like the challenge is done. We got some before and after photos from you. You know, thanks for participating, and you might have won some cash money if you did a decent job. But it's like this right here is the equivalent of, for example, like a lot of people when they compete and they've just done like a 12 to 16 or even 20 week prep, and they've jumped on stage, and then, you know, they might not have placed, or even they did place and they decide they're not going to compete again. It's like it's very hard for these sort of people in that scenario to have been so deprived, and there's not really any sort of real concept or teaching on the reversing back to normality. So when someone is, say for example, doing a challenge like this, what do you think is going to happen once they've finished up the challenge? Like they're going to basically go on like a, you know, a sick cheat day sort of scenario and just go hard on all sorts of different food that they've been cutting out. And because they've only been so limited and deprived for a period of time, this is pretty much where everything around them is just increased in novelty, and they just want to eat all the things. And it's going to be a very quick scenario of like regaining any weight that they lost back. And what happens here, if you're not familiar, I don't know if you checked out any of my other videos, but recently I've been talking about like what happens when you regain weight and the shifts that happen internally in terms of like the metabolic memory bank that your body's building up in terms of the patterns you've been sending it. There's going to be shifts in your fat cell physiology. There's going to be shifts in your relationship with food. There's a lot of negative things that take place. And then what happens here is obviously you're going to then be in this state of, right, I've regained this weight, fuck, and you're feeling uncomfortable. And then before you know it, your gym or this local joint is running another challenge. So guess who signs up? Fuck yeah, I am, Angus Beef. You see what I mean? So it's like you're creating cycles of stopping and starting with these restriction on and off the wagon bullshit.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No! No!
should be happening is like, if you aren't starting out your body transformation, right, in terms of like, as I said before, these sort of challenges are great for someone that's maybe fairly new to the game and doesn't know what they're doing and needs a good helping hand to get some of the basics down pat and some help with training to basically approach their basics. But it's like, if that doesn't apply to you, well, then you shouldn't be chasing down challenges and stuff like that. You should be basically, well, a bit more oriented around how to approach your goals phase by phase. So if you're trying to lose weight, maybe approach your goals in terms of like 8 to 12 weeks in a deficit, 2 weeks or so maybe at maintenance, 6 to 8 weeks in a deficit again, 2 weeks at maintenance, and then you can start doing maybe 2 weeks deficit, 1 week maintenance, and just keep going your way phase by phase like that until you hit a decent weight before you start reversing and then spending a bit of time in maintenance and muscle building. That's the thing, there's more to life than challenges and doing, fat loss and shreds all the time. Like, the real magic happens when you're not fucking dieting. Because I'll tell you what, and you can probably relate to this as well, like, are you actually happy when you're doing these challenges? Like, sure, you can get some pretty dope results, but it's like, if you can't maintain what was achieved, what you did didn't actually work. Like, all you did was just make a company some money, and they preyed off of your insecurities about being, 10 kgs overweight and unhappy or whatever. You see what I mean? So I'd love to hear your experience with doing challenges and stuff like that. Like, share with me if you think that you've got an opposing view. I'd love to hear, but this is me speaking from experience, and from me when I've spoken to, people that have come to me applying for coaching, and they're sharing their backstory, and obviously had they done different challenges, different diets, and something might have worked short term but wasn't sustainable for them to be able to stick to long term. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Like, let me know if you've had wins with challenges. Let me know if it has been the scenario that I just said. But if you've heard this and it's, obviously helped you to see that, like, approaching your goals in this manner isn't something you can see yourself doing anymore, let me know, get in touch. I'd love to see if my anti-diet coaching could be a good step for you in the right direction to be able to approach it phase by phase in a smart oriented manner. Because that's the thing, fam, methods that you utilize to get to your goal weight, you will need to pretty much live by long term when it comes to maintaining. So just be careful on that front, all right? But big love, thank you so much for watching. If we're not yet friends on social media, you can check out any of my handles below. If you are watching me on social media, share this around, tag me on your story or share it, and then that way more people can see it. But either way, I appreciate you for watching. Thanks for taking the time to do so. If you have any questions or anything, line up the comments below, and I'll see you in next week's episode of Anti-Diet TV. Peace.